Greetings everyone and welcome to the Woldsman's channel. If you're seeking to improve your endgame skills, you've come to the right place. Now, if you've viewed other videos, you'll already know that all of the positions the Woldsman discusses are chosen for their instructional value. On the board is an ending arising in one of my own games. It was played in 1995. After a good start and for a while leading the tournament, I lost twice. And this was a last round match, and a win would leave me with 6 points out of 9, which would not be enough for a top place, but would look a far better result. So I was keen to win this one. Let's examine the position. It's black's move, and I had the white pieces. Well, black's problem is white's h-pawn, which is 1 square away from queening. And white's plan is to exchange the dark squared bishops on either e5 or d4, and then arrange to exchange the h-pawn for black's a-pawn. And after that happens, we'll either be left with bishop and a-pawn versus bishop, or king and a-pawn versus king. And so it's a question of whether black's king can get to the queen side fast enough to draw the game. But black, however, doesn't have to find out whether he can draw these two types of ending, because he can actually cut across all of white's plans and go for an immediate draw with the move bishop c4. And the idea of this move is that if white takes the bishop, bishop takes bishop, and black takes the a-pawn, bishop takes a3, and after bishop g8, protecting the h-pawn, black simply plays bishop b2. And he'll follow this up with the moves a3 and a2. And once that black pawn gets to a2, my bishop has to capture it, and that leaves the h-pawn unguarded. And so black has a way of simply trading down into a completely drawn endgame of 2 bishops versus bishop. Now this bishop c4 move is very nice because if white plays in response bishop f5, well, black can play bishop e6 with the same idea as before. And if the white bishop now drops back to b1, then black has bishop a2. And since my bishop has to stay on the b1 h7 diagonal to protect the h-pawn, the game is an immediate draw. I should point out that after bishop c4, it definitely isn't a good idea for white to go for the line bishop c2, bishop b3, bishop takes bishop, pawn takes bishop, and now a4 would be a disaster for white because bishop c3 is actually one for black. Okay. Well, luckily, my opponent didn't find the move bishop c4, and instead the game continued bishop c3, bishop c5, defending the pawn. Black gave a check, bishop d2, white's king came to e5, and black gave another check, bishop c3, and I was able to implement the plan by playing bishop d4. And this forces an exchange of bishops because black cannot allow a discovered check on his king. Bishop takes bishop check, and king takes bishop. Okay, so let's assess now this position. Now, in terms of winning chances, white's problem is this. Although defending bishops don't like rook pawns very much when the queening square is the same color as the bishop, it's much easier for the defender to hold the position if the the passed pawn is far back. So if we envisage a situation where the h-pawn is traded for black's a-pawn, then white's a-pawn is only on the third rank, it's on a3. And this means that the defender should be able to stop it. And the reason is just the length of the diagonals. The diagonal a4 to d1 is 4 squares, whereas the diagonal a4 to e8 is 5 squares. Now in comparison, the diagonal a6 to f1 is 6 squares, but from a6 to c8 it is just 3 squares long. So it follows that the defending bishop is able to cover the square a4 far more easily than the square a6. Okay, so in this position, black played a waiting move with his king. He played king h8, awaiting developments. And in reply, white played an accurate move. He played king c3, planning king b4 and bishop b5, winning the black a-pawn, trading it for the pawn on h7. So the question for you is, well, what should black play here? What is the correct defense? And if you'd like to think about this, pause the video here. Okay, well, welcome back if you had a go at the problem. So, okay, king c3, let's just go back. King c3 is a much more accurate move than king c5 would have been. And the reason is that black is left with only one drawing move. So congratulations if you found it. In this position, black must play bishop d1. And the point of this move is that if white now tries bishop c2, well, black can afford to exchange bishops. Bishop takes bishop, king takes bishop, and king takes h7. And the resulting king and pawn ending is a draw, because black has time to get his king over to the queen side, while white has to round up the a-pawn and then push his own a-pawn. Now diagonals are also important in bishop endings. So instead of bishop c2, let's just see what happens if white plays king b4 here. Black can wait with king g7. White plays bishop b5, attacking the a-pawn, but it leaves this h-pawn unguarded, which black can now capture. And white takes black's pawn, bishop takes a4. Now here, black's bishop has a choice of 4 squares. It can go to e2, f3, g4, or h5. Now let's see which of these squares manage to hold the game and which lose the game. Let's first of all examine the move bishop h5. Now it looks bad putting the bishop on the edge of the board like this. And yes, it turns out that bishop h5 is a poor move. White can reply with bishop b3. And so black puts his bishop on e8, guarding the a4 square. But white can then play bishop c4. And now bishop b5 is a problem, ejecting the black bishop from its post, and this would be winning for white. Okay, well, if black plays bishop g4, then this runs up against the exact same problem. White can play bishop b3, and after bishop d7, white plays bishop c4 again, and this will be followed by bishop b5. And again, that is sufficient to win. So instead, black should play either bishop f3 or bishop e2. And these are better moves because both of these moves guard a square along the A file. So let's look at bishop f3 first. In reply, white might play king c5. Black loses no time in bringing his king over, king g7. The white bishop drops back to b3, clearing a way for the pawn. Black king keeps coming though. White pushes the pawn, a4. And now black plays the important move, king e7. And here it's not possible to play bishop d5 because black can simply exchange bishops. Bishop takes bishop, king takes bishop, king d7, and black's king is clearly going to be able to stop the rook pawn. So instead of bishop d5, if white plays a5, then the black king just keeps coming. King d7, and if king b6, the black king reaches c8, and if a6, the black king reaches b8. And black will then plant his king on a8, and the game will be a draw. It'll be impossible for white to queen the pawn. So bishop f3 is a draw, and likewise, so is bishop e2, going on centric duty. This is also absolutely fine. White plays bishop b3, again clearing the way for the pawn. Black's king makes off for the queen side. And now if white plays bishop c4, then black can simply drop his bishop back to d1, and no progress has been made. While if white plays king c5, black's king keeps coming, king f6, you push a4, the black king carries on with his journey. White can try maybe bishop d5, guarding the queening square, but king d7, and after king b6, king c8, and black is again in time to stop the pawn. Okay, so bishop d1 leads to a draw, but black didn't play bishop d1 in this position. Instead, he went wrong and he played the move king g7. However, I immediately repaid the favor. I played the king b4 with the bishop b5 idea. And instead, the winning move here was to play bishop c4. And if you also saw this when deciding to drop your bishop back to d1, well, kudos. That's excellent. Well, now black actually loses the king and pawn ending if he exchanges bishops. The exchange takes place on c4 rather than c2. So he has to drop his bishop back to d1. But white can now kick the bishop with the king, king d2. And since if the black bishop goes to b3, the trade of bishops is again losing, the bishop must go to the long diagonal on f3. And now there's a very, very neat move that wins the game for white. Play bishop d3, protecting the h pawn. And white is now able to gain significant time. What is black to do? Let's make a move for black, bishop d5. White plays bishop c2. Black protects the pawn with bishop c6. And now white's king goes for the a pawn, king c3. Black can't do anything except wait. Let's say he plays bishop d7, king b4. So yeah, he makes another waiting move, bishop c6. And now white can take the a pawn, bishop takes a4. After bishop e4, bishop b3, king takes h7, king c5. Well, white has gained a significant amount of time. Black's king can no longer make it over to the queen side in time, and so this ending is won for white. Very, very neat. But I did not see this bishop c4 idea. I just played king b4 instead. And here black played the same waiting move that he played before. He played the move king h8. He should have played bishop d1, and as before, that would draw the game. So he made another mistake. He played king h8. And play continued bishop b5. Black took the opportunity to take the h-pawn. Captured the rook's pawn. Bishop takes a4. The black bishop went to d5. Gave a check. Bishop c2. And black responded by playing king g7 and making off for the queenside again. All right, so another question for you. How should white proceed from here? There are two options. The first option is to play king c5, attacking the bishop, and the second option is to push the pawn immediately with a4. What should you do here? Well, if you want to think about this problem, pause the video again. Okay, welcome back if you had a go at this second problem. Well, well done if you chose the move a4. Pushing immediately is the right thing to do here. Well, let's see what happens if black carries on bringing his king over to the queenside, king f6. Or we can push again, a5. Black's king carries on, goes to e7, say. Now white plays king c5, hitting the bishop, which drops back to b7. But it's hit again, king b6. And now the bishop has to go to c8 to guard the pawn. But the problem with that is that white can now win simply with bishop e4, followed by bishop b7. And that short diagonal that I mentioned, a6 to c8, finds black out. It's a real problem for him. Okay, but unfortunately, I didn't play a4. I was tempted to play the move king c5, hitting the bishop immediately. But in response, my opponent found an excellent move. He played bishop f3. So well done if you realized that this is the problem with king c5. And bishop f3 is a very good move because it creates the option of bishop e2, which, as we saw previously, is an effective square for the bishop, for the defender. So I pushed a4. Black king marched over to the queenside. And here I played the move king d6, shoulder barging. And that's why I found king c5 too tempting to resist. But unfortunately, it's not sufficient. It's not sufficient to win because of this move bishop e2. Well, in response to that, I played the move bishop e4. And here I got a lucky break because black went for bishop a6 here. Now what he should have played was bishop d1, hitting the a-pawn. So the a-pawn would have to advance to a5, and now he can go back with bishop e2, keeping an eye on the a6 square. And the game is actually drawn here. Let's just see why. Supposing I play bishop c6, black can wait with bishop d3, and I have to give up the shoulder barge. If I play, say, king c5, he can play king e7. And now if I challenge the bishop, then black can simply exchange because his king is in time. It's in time to stop the a-pawn from queening. The best I'm going to do here is probably something like this. King goes to c8, and if I go to a7, then he plays king c7. and my king is locked in, it can never get out. So there'll be a draw in a few moves by stalemate. All right, but bishop d1 didn't happen. Instead he played bishop a6 and got caught out by this short diagonal. So the game finished bishop c6. That's a very strong move. And now black is outmaneuvered. If he tries bishop to c8, for example, then I have the move bishop b5, preventing the bishop from going back to that square a6. Black might play something like king f7, a5 follows, and then I'm just going to play king c7. The bishop will have to leave that short diagonal, and I'll be able to queen the pawn. So instead, after bishop c6, black played the move bishop d3. But now I played another strong move, bishop b5, kicking the bishop is winning. Black bishop went on to the long diagonal, pushed the a-pawn, a5. Desperately, he can't allow bishop c6, so he must come back, bishop b7. But king c7 embarrasses the bishop. And after bishop e4, a6, black resigned, because what can he do? If he plays, for example, bishop a8, then I have bishop c6. After the exchange of bishops, black cannot stop the a-pawn from queening. So I finished the tournament with 6 points. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you learned some useful things about bishop endings from our mistakes. Thanks for watching.